An Air Force sergeant in Portland, Oregon is caught stealing military equipment and then selling it on Craigslist.
Now he has a new job right here in Wisconsin. Fox 6 investigator Brian Polson shows you what he is doing and how the leaders of one local town reacted when a whistleblower actually told them that they had a thief in charge.
And Brad and Ann, he was caught stealing government property. Now he's in charge of government property. How can that happen? You're about to see how a sweetheart deal with prosecutors in Oregon helped an admitted thief land a new job as the Public Works Director in the town of Cedarburg. In the town of Cedarburg, it seems recycling applies to more than just plastic, glass, and cardboard.
Everybody should be given a second chance, but I'm a little leery about this one.
6 months ago, the town hired Adam Monticelli to be its new Director of Public Works.
I wonder why they'd hire him here then if he had such a past, you know?
When he applied for the job, Monticelli told the town he had separated from the United States Air Force in 2010. He just didn't mention why.
I thought they should just know that this guy had done this.
Kim Johns told town officials exactly why a couple of months ago, but got a stunning response.
I was dumbfounded by it.
And when the Fox 6 investigators started asking questions, nobody in town government wanted to talk about it. Were you concerned by that?
I'm not at liberty to comment at this time.
No comment means no comment at this time.
There's an ongoing investigation right now, okay? And at this point, we can't comment further about it.
You see, Adam Monticelli did not leave the Air Force voluntarily. He was forced to resign in the midst of a criminal investigation of the Oregon Air National Guard's 125th Special Tactics Squadron. According to federal court records, Monticelli's neighbors saw him bringing home ATVs, motorcycles, GPS systems, and flat-screen TVs in a U.S. Air Force truck.
I would see like some nice things coming in, but I just thought maybe it was his friends.
A joint investigation by the Air Force and Department of Defense revealed that Monticelli was stealing military equipment and reselling it on Craigslist for personal gain.
This didn't happen 13, 14, 15 years ago. This happened less than 3 years ago.
So Johns was surprised to learn that Monticelli had already landed a new job in Wisconsin as a supervisor in charge of government property and an annual budget of more than $1 million.
When it said that he was in charge of a budget, which meant money, I kind of found that disturbing.
In December, Johns sent this email to members of the Cedarburg Town Board notifying them of Monticelli's past. But just 4 minutes after he sent the message,
I'll make a motion to approve.
He got a peculiar reply from town supervisor Gary Wickert.
It's bizarre.
Wickert questioned the tipster's motivation and slammed his home state of Oregon as one of the top 5 most liberal states in the country.
I didn't think that there was a partisan reason for reporting theft of taxpayer goods.
In an email to Fox 6, Wickert called John's email a vindictive attempt to ruin the reputation of an American military hero. Johns says he was just trying to help a small town, though he does have a history with Monticelli.
The last thing that was transmitted from the boat was Coast Guard, Mayday, Mayday.
Mayday, Mayday.
In 2009, 6 members of Monticelli's Air National Guard unit had to be rescued from the North Pacific when their boat capsized.
According to the Air National Guard, the men were on a training mission.
News reports questioned if the training mission was really just a joyride, since the crew was wearing T-shirts and shorts, but no life jackets.
They had to blame it on something.
It was John's company that manufactured the boat, so when a government safety report blamed the boat's design, John says it was devastating to his business.
The end of the dynasty.
They were trying to cover their back ends for something they shouldn't have been doing with U.S. government property.
It was just a few months later that Monticelli was busted for stealing military property, and despite their history, Johns insists his tip to the town of Cedarburg is nothing personal.
For me, just alert my neighbors that, look, there might be something wrong on your block. I don't see how that's vindictive to Adam.
Reaction in Cedarburg seems mixed.
Here's a new neighbor. He's come to Cedarburg, and if he has paid his debt to society, I think Cedarburg will stand behind him.
Wow, that is pretty terrible and concerning to know that they hired someone that was convicted in a federal court of stealing, especially from the government.
If you're wondering why town officials hired a convicted felon for the job, the answer is they didn't.
You should check your facts. He was not convicted.
Monticelli was indicted for stealing motorcycles from the Air Force. He even pleaded guilty. but he did so in exchange for a special diversion agreement with prosecutors. It allowed him to pay $8,000 in restitution and have the case essentially wiped from his record.
Diversion for theft of government property is extremely rare.
When Monticelli applied for the public works job last summer, he indicated that he had never been convicted of a crime, and nothing showed up in a background check.
He was not convicted.
He pleaded guilty, and after completing
a conviction, okay, there was a diversion agreement. So
that doesn't mean he didn't do it, though.
Correct.
A week after we started asking questions, the Cedarburg Town Board called a special meeting. They met behind closed doors for 2 hours to discuss Monticelli's future, then decided not to change a thing.
Do you feel comfortable having him oversee public property?
I think the statement that'll be issued will address your question.
So you can't just tell me what you think? I mean, you're the town administrator.
The statement that'll be issued will explain what the town thinks.
The town released a 2-page statement calling Monticelli a valuable employee with an exemplary military career and assuring residents there are adequate safeguards in place to protect town property. In other words, they've decided to leave an admitted military thief in charge.
What the town of Cedarburg and their citizens do is up to them.
In its statement explaining the decision to retain Monticelli as Public Works Director, the town writes that it is most troubled by his use of a fictitious name to forge titles, which were then transferred into his own name. But the board says it appears extenuating circumstances existed surrounding Monticelli's superior officers who endorsed the personal use of government property. Monticelli's lawyer told the U.S. Attorney in Oregon that Monticelli's supervisors had encouraged him to take home the motorcycles and possibly even gave him the green light to sell them with a wink and a nod. However, no one else in the Oregon Air National Guard has ever been charged with a crime related to these thefts.
Now, we did not hear from Mr. Monticelli in
That's
your story,
right.
but if I know you, you tried to track him down.
Yeah, on numerous occasions. I emailed him, I called him on the phone on multiple occasions, left him voicemail after voicemail. I even tried to catch up with him at last month's regular board meeting in January. He was there when we got there, but after seeing our camera, he apparently left the building. His seat was empty for the whole meeting, and he didn't return.
It's funny how that happens when a camera pops up. It'll be interesting to see if anybody speaks now that your story has aired.
That's
if we
right.
get more.
We'll find out, I guess. Yeah.
I know you'll bring it to us if that happens. Thanks,
All right.
Brian, so much.
A backlash against Beyonce, the protest against her Super Bowl performance. Lazy Saturdays.